Welcome to this new stream at the living room at Trollspeilet, where we're presently going to try and talk about collection. The big word that everybody wants to hear about, right? What we're going to try and show today is one of our horses worked in hand, and we are going to try and show that when you're working on collection, all the other things have to be right. So what we're going to look at are all the faults we can see when we try to work with collection. That's and I don't mean to say that, oh, these are faults and we have to laugh at this guy. No, what I'm trying to say is there are demands put upon you and your horse when you work with collection. It is not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. If it is easy, it is very likely to be wrong. And the simple reason it is likely to be wrong is this one word: balance. We all know that if you lie on your couch, just strewn out over your couch, watching TV or watching this stream maybe or something like that, you do not feel unbalanced in that particular moment. But if you are standing on one foot at the top of your roof, balancing while looking into the abyss in front of you, then you surely don't feel balanced. But you are balancing, or you would be on your way down into that said abyss. So what we're going to try to show today is that by way of all these parts of the training scale, we prepare to understand and we prepare the horse to be able to do collection, which means balancing squarely with both hind legs carrying more weight than they would naturally, more or less. Yeah. Wouldn't you say? Mm-hmm. So, let's say we just roll.
Yeah.
Roll one video and see what happens.
We got lots of nice little...
We got a bunch of little snippets and some might be interesting and some might be worth just jumping over. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be amazing. Here is the mighty Ares, and we are just sort of warming up. So I'm asking him carefully, just dropping the stick on his butt, and he sits down because he knows this. He knows this sort of this workout. He knows that I need to carry on my hind legs, and then he tries to carry on his hind legs a little bit, but you can see that he's just sinking down and not really lifting his back, as it were. But he's warming up, and sometimes he carries a lot of weight on his hind legs for a little while. So it's just looping around so we can see it several times.
Mm-hmm. Can you say something about what is the point of training like this?
What is your question? In hand, you mean?
Yeah, like because many people would perhaps think this is just trick training.
All right, yeah. So what I'm doing here is I'm not really asking any particular thing. You can see that I'm just using my stick on top of his bum a little bit, like just tapping. Sometimes I ask with a little bit of, can I call it vigor without being killed on the internet? Maybe not, but I'll do it anyway. Because I want him to push off and lift a bit forward. So what I'm doing is, first in this particular instant, I'm just trying to ask him to bend his hind legs. To bend all the joints in the hind legs, and then I watch what's going on. Mm-hmm. I also watch what's happening up on top of his back, between his croup and his withers. What's going on there? Mm-hmm. So you might say that what I'm trying to do now is to assess where he's at, not only in this level of training, mm-hmm. but today, in this level of warm-up.
exactly when you're doing this work?
Yes, right now. I'm trying to look at what happens. Of course, when he sits down like that, that is a little bit of training as well.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit of training in the same way as when I'm working my way up towards a maximum lift. When I'm at half the weight, it's not really training yet.
No.
And that's the same with him. He's warming up his joints. And he's trying different things. And sometimes I want him to move forward. And even if, sometimes I ask, like he sat back there at the very end of this video, just before it loops back. We'll see it once more and see if I can show it to you. I tap him once, like with a little bit of vigor, to see if he can move forward a bit.
Mm-hmm. And it's
because,
also,
just to give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
You see that?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a jump forward at the very end. You can stop this one, please. Yeah. So other than that instant, none of the other aids are to make him do anything in particular. Mm-hmm. I'm just asking him to move within this frame, and you may sit down, please.
Yeah, and the horse knows the
he knows
exercise
that,
and he likes it.
Yes, he enjoys the effort.
Yeah.
He doesn't. It's
obvious.
Not for artists. I'm going to say this now. Artist isn't. Don't tell him that I said this, but he's not very bright. Problem solving isn't what he does. He solves problems by explosion mostly.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do is to tell him to try and use his power a bit.
In the right way.
But don't run away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just
don't
stay
destroy
here.
yourself. Yeah.
So that's mostly what I'm trying to do. We can roll the next one, please. And it's mostly still the same. I believe all these are from the same workout. So we're going to hopefully see some progression. And I'm asking for the sort of same thing. Sometimes during this, I wanted him to work a little bit more on his back. So you can see that now that he's sort of walking / piaffing forward a little bit. And that's because I want him to use his back more, to be not to be strong in his back, but to be loose in his back while using power from behind.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I tried to do sometimes when I was doing this workout. He's still sitting really well, and you can see that he carries a lot of weight on his hind legs, but most of the time he moves back onto them.
Yeah.
There's a couple of good tries here now.
And what I am looking for, is he able to lift his back when he's doing this?
Yeah. He's not yet.
No.
But that's the reason why I want him to walk / piaffe a bit here. Mm. I want to make him loose through that area. Because you asked about the trick training thing. Mm. And he knows that he's supposed to sit down and lift himself. Mm-hmm. But his back isn't warm at all. Mm-hmm. And he's not loose at all. So when he sits down and tries to lift himself, he'll invert his back and just drop it.
Yeah. And we know that he has this problem. He has always had a problem in his back.
Yes.
Yeah. That he's doing this and not this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's also very common, especially when you try to engage a lot of power from behind.
Yes.
It's also very common in people.
Yeah.
To do the same thing, to sway your back a lot when you try to do powerful stuff. Mm-hmm. So Aris is still warming up, and now you can see here he's balancing on his hind legs sometimes for a half a second or something like that. I think we can just roll the next one, please. Even if it's midway, we'll just have to. Now he doesn't look as sharp and down in the back anymore. A little bit looser, and still I want to piaffe, but Aris does not want to piaffe. He wants to do this. I want to jump my hind legs forward and lift. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, no, please piaffe. So now I'm trying with my rhythm and with my aids to encourage him to move through the back better. Mm-hmm. So in the piaffe, there has to be a diagonal carriage through the back, as opposed to when he sits down on his hindquarters in like, let's say, a levade or something semi-levade-ish, or a school halt, then he will just have to brace his back and lift. So in the piaffe, he has to push off a little bit and still be able to move diagonally across the back in every stride, which makes it more of a coordination effort. Now I'm trying to use my stick to get him to use the parts of himself that I think are lacking. But now you can see that he's starting to lift just behind the withers sometimes. You see that? He's stretching behind the withers and lifting a little bit. So even if he moves backwards, I still find that this is valuable exercise. So again, the main goal isn't the exercise for me. Mostly my main goal is what happens in whatever exercise is right there. And then when I have influence over several or all the different parts of the movement, when I have influence over how much power is used, when I have influence over how relaxed he still can stay, if I have influence over whether it's straight or, let's say, diagonal, the diagonals are similar. If I have influence over all those different factors, then I will try to ask for a specific movement.
Yeah.
But not before that. Next one, please. Are we numbers there now, I think, aren't we? Yeah.
67.
Yeah, very good. That's what I thought. So now he's sitting down a little bit, even if he's trying to piaffe. See that?
And it looks more powerful, doesn't it?
I think so. You can see the muscles, muscle in his hindquarters are sort of... Now he inverted really bad, but he was trying.
It was good because then we could see exactly that thing.
Yeah.
That he was trying to lift his back, but then he lost it because it was heavy.
Yeah. Was snorting a lot. And of course, sometimes I get, what do you call it, eager, and I want to do more.
You get a little greedy.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But you need to try it a little.
You do.
Challenge him a little.
Yes.
And so, he thinks that is fun as well.
Yes. You can see he's just in a cavesson, and it's mostly just, it's not tight.
No.
It's not the tightness in the cavesson that makes him move backwards now, for instance. It is that he doesn't want to push off forwards.
It's more easy to go backwards.
Yes. He can, or at least the perception from the horse's side is that it's easier because he can move his hind legs back out of the collection instead of forward and into trying to lift, which is really difficult. Or just sink
back into something that looks like collection.
Yeah.
But now the hind legs are working forwards.
Yes. And you can see he tried to balance, and it was really difficult for him. But he did try. And I asked him to do it again because I'm greedy. That's all right. Good boy. Let's roll on again.
Can we see this a close-up? Yeah. And when he does this, then he needs to stretch a little.
Now he's trying to stretch his back out, and he's trying to get a snort out of his nose. Sometimes I manage to... Oh, yeah, he's stretched all the way back. And some small snorts are sneaking out. And now I'm asking him to try and work again, because he can also just stand there and say, oh, that was really, really comfortable. But we can also be staying there for all day long. And also, when you're this focused and concentrated, because you have to be really on it to do this stuff, or artists will be all over you, or all over something else, most likely.
But this is good. Now he's trying to balance.
He is trying to balance. He's really quite strong and awesome, isn't he? In my opinion. Sorry, that came through like... Well, I think he is. So he's really trying. In this particular one, you can see that we have now transitioned from the sort of warm-up to now working properly. And you can see that the lines along his neck, over his withers, and down his back are much sort of softer. There's not so many like crooks and nannies all the way back there. It looks much smoother all the way.
And that in this you can actually you're using some of the exercises from the lower parts of the training scale.
Yeah, I'm trying to stretch him at the same time. There's a saying in the classical dressage that says that in the highest collection, the top line is the longest.
Yeah.
So that means that if your horse can't stretch his or her nose all the way to the ground because it's stiff, how on earth could it get to the heightened state of collection?
It's
that's the question here.
You know, Dalton, my horse that we've been seeing several times during the streams, he has exactly that problem, that his top line is too short. So when we're starting to collect him, he in the beginning, he couldn't lift his back while he was piaffing.
No.
Because everything was too short. And when the hind legs go, or the croup goes down, and the hind leg bends.
Yep.
Then the top line becomes longer. It pulls on the top line.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing here that when we say that the top line is too short, that's a very complex thing. It doesn't mean that all the structures there, the structural systems, are too short.
No.
The horse is made to be long enough for its own movement. But if we imagine that this is sort of the hind legs of the horse coming underneath back here, then if it's carrying a lot of weight on the hindquarters and is very strong around the hind end like this, then if the horse isn't strong here on top, then the musculature on top will have to be maximally contracted to be strong enough to do the work that the hindquarters are doing. Therefore, they become too tight compared to the hindquarters. And this happens all the time. It is normal, and you can see it in Ares when he's not warmed up through the back. Then his back inverts. That's because he's stronger in the hindquarters than he is just behind the withers. He's also very strong in the neck, so the neck stays sort of loose and long because he's got a very strong neck. But just that area from the withers and a bit back, that has never been my strength in my riding, so that isn't the strength in my horse either. So you can see that he needs more warm-up there in order to lift himself. And this is the case for us humans as well. Where if I want to bench press, it is very important for me to train all the musculature on the back of my shoulder and the mid back sort of, and warm that up properly, or it won't help to do the work. It'll cheat. And then I just work the other stuff instead. So that happens to the horses as well. That was fun. Let's roll on. So this is sort of a new thing we are trying to do. We're working in the middle of the arena. So I don't have an outside fence or aid to help me. And you can see then that I have to abort the mission like midway because he wants to step on the videographer. But he's really sitting down and trying to lift even his back now. And you can see that sometimes he shakes his head while he's sitting down. That means that something big is going on. You can see not only the head, but he's shaking his neck all the way back to the wither. See? There we go. It's really difficult. But he gets too contracted around the wither.
Yeah. And this is good to work in the piaffe like this, because, or in the levad, trying between those two, because when you're trotting with him, it's quite difficult to access this part of his back.
Yes.
It's almost impossible.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a good exercise if you're, but it's difficult.
Oh, it's really difficult. Roll it again, please. If it's okay. Yeah, good. So we're piaffing a little bit, and then he sits down a lot. We're gonna look at it a few more times and see if we can see if the hind legs are behaving differently. That's what we're gonna look at now. So it's gonna roll again, and we see we can see that they are actually doing really well, both of them. But
yes. They're the same. They're doing the same. Is that what
they're
you're
doing
saying?
sort of the same work.
So he's straight.
He's fairly straight here. It's a little bit deceptive because he's moving a little bit towards the camera.
Mm-hmm.
That means he's moving away from the left hind.
Yeah.
And in this particular case, that is because he's pushing off more with the left hind. So he's pushing himself towards the camera, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's hard to see exactly when that happens, but you can see that he's not completely straight, and that left hind wants to sort of come out from the center a little bit, and then it pushes away.
Mm-hmm.
That it might be, in this case, it could be because he's in the open part of the arena, but I know that it isn't. That's not the real reason here. The reason here is that he's pushing off too much. All right, next one, please. We are here now, are we? Yeah. You can see now that even in the piaffe tries, he's deeper behind. And he's starting to lift his front instead of just sinking into the hind legs. Not all the time, but sometimes you can see him lifting. You can also see now that sometimes that right hind doesn't want to do its job.
It's funny!
This, of course, means the horse is not straight.
Well, there he concentrates, and then it's good again.
Yeah.
It looked like the right hind leg was sort of trying to run away.
Yeah,
didn't want to do his job. Yeah.
But he's actually putting it forward, and sometimes too much, and then he gets stressed out a little bit. But you see that he's not even pulling at the cavesson. He's trying to work himself because he can feel where he needs to work. And it's I only tell him, energy, boy.
Yeah.
And he says, but where the energy can't get through, Dad. And I'm saying, yeah, well, show me where it can't get through. And he says, I don't know. Because he's not so smart. But it's quite obvious that he's trying really hard to do a really good job.
And you need to let him try, because that is the only way he can learn.
Yes.
Everyone learns by doing a mistake.
Yep.
So when he feels that this right hind leg is sort of jumping all over,
yeah,
then it's not possible to lift the front end up because he hasn't got a platform to lift from.
No. We're going to see this again. Can we see next time on the full screen, please? Yeah. So when it starts over, we'll watch it on the full screen, and I'm going to take you through a few things that might be considered. All right. So we start with collection. He sits down really well sometimes. Then we go down to straightness, and we see that he's trying, but he's not managing perfectly. Then we go back to schwung, and we see that sometimes he lifts himself forward. You see it in a couple of those. You can see that he lifts himself forward. Now he's just sitting down. This was just sitting down. It's two of the first ones that was lifting a little bit. All right, so that's schwung. You can see that he keeps his outline. He's a little bit too round in the top. That's because he's not quite through just behind the wither.
Yeah.
So he's not lifting enough. But he comes to the contact nonetheless. He's also fairly relaxed. You can see, I'll show you again. Here we'll see a couple of times when he sits down and sort of almost jumps forward. Not that one, but that one and that one. No, there we go. So a couple of those. He's lifting just slightly forward. That means there's schwung in this exercise. If it isn't, then it's not collection.
No,
because schwung is missing,
or
right?
impulsion, yeah.
impulsion, schwung, that's missing from the particular exercise. I'm not saying the exercise is bad because of that. He needs this exercise, but it's only when he also lifts forward that there is impulsion present, and without impulsion you can't get to true collection.
I agree.
So true collection isn't just that the horse sits down. The horse sitting down is a great thing in and of itself. It's an achievement even. It means that you're doing something good. Unless, of course, if you're just not pulling to the best of your abilities, that happens too, but I trust you guys not to. All right. After this, we'll just roll the next one, please. So what we're working on here is to get him through that last piece on the back. You see that there's a little more lift in the piaffe. You see that?
Yep.
That's because he's not as stuck. Oh, good boy. As stuck behind the wither, and you can see it moving there. And he had to blow his nose enough to make a little bit of a sandstorm there. He's looking for shy hulud or maybe the spice melange. I don't know if he's in a harvest or what he is. Now he's really trying to sit down, and he's really trying to stretch his withers at the same time. Yeah, move, Dad. But you can see now, as he moves forward in the piaffe here, you can see that the piaffe is softer, but still sort of more air in it.
And it's also interesting to watch how the hind legs always move. They move forwards, like gripping the ground.
Yep.
Gripping the ground and pushing off.
Yeah.
Evenly.
They're always trying, or we are always trying, both me and Ares, but we aren't always managing.
No. Sometimes you push the sand forwards instead of backwards.
Yes.
But not very often.
Yep.
And it's important when you learn how to look for collection, you must look for the sand that pushes off behind the hoof instead of in front of the hoof.
Yep. Are we set up to check for questions today?
Yeah.
Awesome. I think this segment is very interesting to me. So if I go silent, it's just because I'm watching the hind legs move. Because there's really, really good work from the horse's side in this segment, especially at the beginning. It's easy to see that he's really working hard on it. And now he brings some of that softness with him into this much more collected, much more powerful movement that he does at the end.
And many people, when they're trying to teach the horse to piaffe, they focus on the front legs. But you don't. You're starting with the hind legs like this.
Yep.
And if the horse lifts his withers, then the front legs will lift higher.
Yes. It's not difficult to make the horse lift the front legs higher. No. You can do that by touching him just in front of the knee or just behind the knee. If you just do that, the horse will start to lift his knee more. The problem is that if he starts lifting the knee, then some muscles that will help him sort of drop through the back will engage more, which means that you will have to put more power in from behind to make him lift the wither, but there isn't enough power around the withers to do that.
No. True. And then we have been talking through the whole series about the training scale. We're talking about not using the underneck too much.
Yeah.
And if you would teach the horse to lift his front legs now, he would start using his underneck to lift the front legs.
Yes, and he would.
And then he
would use both the underneck to lift the leg forward, but he would also, because he's blocking or using the underneck too much, he would stay blocked in the withers.
So it's
so he would
thing.
Lock himself in that position and then lift his legs forward, and then you can keep chasing the hind legs for as long as you like. You will never ever make them catch up to the front.
Yep.
So in this particular horse, we're not lacking power behind. The neck is more than strong enough. What we're lacking here is the part of the back just behind the withers. You can see just above my arm now.
Yeah, that when the withers goes down and there is sort of a...
Yeah, you see sort of a sharp angle there.
Yeah.
That's not good. But sometimes you see that the angle softens. That's what we're looking for. So quite often when I work the horse in hand, whether I do this very advanced work or I'm just walking a horse and testing if it'll position its head ever so slightly, I'm looking at the area just behind the wither quite often to see if the musculature there starts moving. Isn't that right, Ida? We've been working Ida's horse like that this week. So just working on positioning. This horse can position fine both ways. A little bit more difficult to this side. All right. We still have one or two more, don't we? Now he's really trying to sit down and stay connected through his back.
And now you can see he looks more bouncy.
Yep.
He's more lively, isn't he?
Much. And this, most of that work, he did on his own volition. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He's trying. You can see that he comes up on a slant sort of through the wither. Can you see that?
Yeah. And also he's stretching and he's stretching and snorting there.
Yep.
That is something that he does because he feels that he really wants to stretch out this thing is in his back that is sort of stuck.
Yep.
And I can tell that every time you start to you go collecting him to do this work, he's like very eager.
Oh yeah, he likes this.
Yeah, he thinks it's fun.
Yeah, but he likes being awesome. He likes showing off his strength.
Yeah.
And this is very similar to what he would do. You see he's snorting really hard and he's lifting his wither every time he snorts too. And then he was going for lunch. I saw that at the end there.
There is grass and
Yes.
it's quite new.
And it's near my nose too.
And while he was down there, he had something to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes he will also kick out, you know, if there is something that is stuck.
Yes, that is very periodically. So when he's like, lately he's been working really hard on trying to get his butt under and carry more on the hind legs. And when he's in one of those periods when he tries to sit down and truly carry weight on his hind legs, he doesn't kick out as much.
No.
But when he has the periods where he wants to push off with his hind legs, and I have to stand straight in front of him to make him not run off, then he'll kick out.
Yeah, and then you can do the standing capriole.
We have done that. We have managed once the flying capriole, twice the flying capriole. Sorry, yes, we have actually.
In hand.
In hand. Thankfully not ridden.
He's quite explosive.
Yeah, a bit, yes, sometimes. The last video, I think there's one more. Can't remember what we did here that was good, but...
I'm impressed that you managed to stay in rhythm with him.
That is the most difficult part of working with the horse like this.
But this is a tete-a-tete.
He offered the tete-a-tete in the beginning of this movement. Like first a little bit of piaffe, then he started to offer something that I saw, I can make a tete-a-tete out of this. And it's not perfect and it's still too tense in the back, but he did really well because he's pushing off a little bit forward with the hind legs sometimes, not every stride, but you see that sometimes he does. You see that?
And he's quite even in his hind legs. Several times.
Yes, sometimes he's a little bit off, but he's also trying. And we made the corner. That made me so proud. So, what I want you guys to watch, the next time, we're going to see this once more in full screen, please. Can you do that? Awesome. When we get through the corner, have a look at how my body, just look at the blue mid of the jacket, and his body, just look at the center of the red thing. Look how they move in unison. Look when we get through the corner. This is the most difficult thing you can do when you work in hand. You see that?
Yeah.
See here?
Yeah. Yes. We often when we're teaching this and teaching lunging and stuff, we say that there should be a stick between your heart and the horse's heart, or something like that, and it needs to be there all the time. If it's broken, the contact with the horse is broken.
Yeah.
And now that was. Can we see that again? And people can.
It's rolling.
And think about this stick between
full
you.
screen again, can you? Awesome.
Look at that. The stick between.
I wake up about here. And here I hit it.
Yes.
And you can see that the rhythm of my legs changes a lot.
Yeah.
Because I have to move in order to stay with him. And that is, it's like, it's so easy to teach that you just touch the horse on the bum with the stick, or you just make him loose in front. But to teach that balance is really difficult. The contact between your body and the horse's body, that's what you need to teach, and that's what you need to work on. So if you work on it, don't do this. Or if you do, don't get killed. But the idea is that you can do that. I actually have a story on that. It's a lot of years ago now, but I was at... I had a sort of a backstage pass at... what's his face? Monty Roberts' show in Norway when he was here. And there's probably a lot of controversy around that guy, but I saw him work, and there were things he did that I did not understand at all. But there was one thing that stood out for me in that whole session. There was one of the horses that was there for the daytime and didn't sort of make the show, if you like. This horse was really troublesome, and he'd been kicking his farriers around, and he was really dominant and bordering on violent. And Monty had his cowboy dude work with him, but Monty himself was on the phone with some guys who struggled to get one of the other horses to the arena. They had to be 8 people, and they worked for like 6 hours to get the horse loaded to get him to the arena, I think. Don't quote me on those numbers, but it was something in that order. But his cowboy was working this very violent horse, just working him free. I think might have been in a lunge, I'm not sure, but Monty was sort of talking this way, talking to his guys over here, and all of a sudden Monty says stop, and his cowboy just stood rigid instantly. He didn't even look at him. He just stopped. No. Just and he stopped, and the horse stopped with him. And then Monty said, take half a step back. And he took half a step back, and the horse followed. And forward, and the horse followed. And Monty had noticed that out here. So his skill, I think even he had some vision impairment. Yes, some weird colorblindness, sort of he can see black and white, sort of grey shades or something like that.
Only black and white and grey. Yeah. So he can see contours.
He's very good at seeing contours. So from that, and probably experience, he was looking here, and he just caught that they were on par. And as soon as he saw it, he told his cowboy friend, who hadn't seen it yet, to stop, and they just caught on and was there. And that is what we saw in the end of this movie, just after the corner. You can see that we sort of catch on to each other's balance point and energy.
And that is contact. And that is one of the points in the training scale as well. Is. And many people think that is contact with the reins, and that you just pull and then you have contact. No. This is not contact.
So that's the contact thing. And you can work on it at any time. work on it when you work with your horse free. If you take your horse from inside the stall to the outside, the paddock, and try to stay alert all the time. It's very easy to fall onto routines. So the horse knows where he's going, you know where you're going, and you sort of go in the same direction and end up more or less in the same vicinity, and then you can open the gate and let the horse in, right? And I do that sometimes too. Just tag along, or something stupid like that. But if you can always work with your horse, even then. And if you do, the horse will be so much more open to communication with you all the time. So that contact thing is essential when you get to this
and it's like
this power level.
When you're leading the horse, the contact could be like this.
Yeah, but you see, when Ares is jumping forward like that, you can't hold him.
No, you can't force him to do anything. No,
Not at that moment.
No,
there's too much power to do anything of that sort. I guess that if you're really good, you could, when he's airborne, you can sort of move him sideways a bit.
Unbalance him
a bit, which isn't a nice way to ride, obviously, but it can be done. But that's not what we're aiming for.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
We've been working in hand and more or less on the spot, but collection is also moving forwards.
Yep.
So collection in collected walk, collected trot, collected canter.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not able to show that right now.
No.
Because Ares has a problem in one of his knees, so he should be ridden.
Yep.
But he's trained like this because he likes it and it's very good for him.
Yeah.
But can you explain a little about how we obtain collection in, for instance, in trot or canter?
Mm-hmm.
By watching these movies.
Use the movies to make them understand now.
Yeah, I'm just asking, is it possible?
Yeah. Can we see the last one again? Right, just whenever ready. So you can see here that I'm just moving sort of softly forward with the horse. And I'm allowing him to do all sorts of stuff. This is not how you ride if you want to ride forward with collection. You can see that it's just bouncing around. But you can see how much more power I add to my body now. And my hips are moving, and my midsection is really stable, and my back stays straight and strong.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do it.
You do that with your body when you're sitting on the horse.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And
the
also,
first time I really felt this was I was in Portugal at the moment, and I was riding a horse at the Passage. And it was super easy to ride.
Mm-hmm.
The horse would just passage. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to, you just shorten the rein and just put your leg on, and it went doink, 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 from leg to leg like that. But it felt a little bit like this.
Yeah.
Every stride felt like that.
Jarring your teeth.
Yeah, a little bit, not quite that bad. No, it's yeah. It's important not to exaggerate too, because what I'm trying to explain or aim at is that when I the only difference I did was to just tighten my abs.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's the only thing I was able to discern that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think that's the only thing I did. But so abs and all, core, if you like. What happens then is that the pelvis doesn't tilt like that anymore. It just stays in the same position.
You don't rattle.
I don't rattle at all. And the horse went from doing this in every stride to do this. It felt like it was air suspended. It was amazing, and I could do it over and over. It was so much fun to feel that difference. So if you want collection, you have to do that. If you just want to shorten the horse, you just shorten the rein.
Yeah, and then you can, and also many people think that if you're riding slowly, it's collection.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can, but we're not instructing in that way. We're instructing after the German training scale, and then you have the impulsion.
Yes. So when we work in the scale, it says there impulsion is before you get to collection. You get to impulsion. So you get impulsion and then straightness, and then you have hopefully get to collection.
Yeah.
So the thing is that it is extremely difficult to ride a big stride with collection because the demands on the body are immense. That it's like if you let's say you can squat 100 kilos or something like that. Let's just say a weight on your shoulders, and you can squat 100 kilos, and that's your maximum. And now we say that you're going to jump from one leg to the other all the way around the arena with 100 kilos on you. You can't it just can't happen.
Yeah, and
that's the difference.
Because it need to be strong.
For true collection and going forward with true collection, yes. And then you can sort of balance that out. If the horse is extremely good at moving, if he's extremely agile and soft and balanced, then you don't need as much strength as if the horse isn't balanced. It's like you wouldn't need as much strength as I do moving forward with balance because you're better balanced, more acutely aware of little things than I am.
But you're strong.
But I have so much more power, so I can move much more forward with and still keep my impulsion. So the impulsion isn't just fast, it is the ability to go even faster at any moment, sort of.
So controlling all this power and lifting the horse forwards, like in a passage, you can do that in two different. And passage is there are many people who are not very well versed in all these terms.
Yep.
So the passage is like very cadenced trot. It's like a trot where the horse lifts up for a longer stride and sort of hangs in the air for a longer time.
Yeah.
So, and there are two different ways to do that. You could ask the horse to just lift its legs for a long time, like this.
Yeah. So.
Or the horse can float through the air for a longer time.
Yeah.
And the last one is much more tiring. It's
obviously.
So because of the kick off from the hind legs and the lift through the back.
Yeah, you have to lift the center of gravity has to be lifted in order for you to float in the air, right?
Yes.
While in the other way, you just keep one diagonal grounded for longer. While the other one is lifting slowly forward, right?
Yeah.
And then you can have a bit of a bump at the end. But there are many different ways to train it as well. You can ride it ride the what do you call it? The Grand Passage, some call it. You just shorten it in from the medium trot until the horse is bouncing almost on the spot, while the Duke's Passage is ridden from a piaffe.
All right.
You can also read in some of the texts, books, you can read that the Passage should be a forward-moving piaffe, while the piaffe should be a passage on the spot. And there has been horses that have been able to be airborne, to actually jump off at least one diagonal in the piaffe, even in the top in the sport.
Yeah. So when we've been talking about the whole training scale, and the next time we're going to start talking about fixing trouble and fixing problems and answering like questions. We've been collecting video clips from all of our horses, the horses that we train, and we're planning to show before and after videos to show how we fix all these troubles that our students are experiencing.
Yeah. So we're sort of going to take out one facet of the horse and rider in training, and now we're going to correct this one thing.
This one thing
doesn't mean everything is corrected, but often it will be the fault that is mostly in your way, or it can be the thing that's easier to correct, or it might be that it's my bias, or it might be, we don't know. It depends on the equipage we're training.
Yeah. And also like exercises that are useful in that situation and stuff. But the whole
that'll
point...
be exercises for the horse and exercise for the human. The human will be reverse hypers and squats. No, I'm just kidding.
As always, yeah. But the important thing now that we have been we're stressing now for many streams is that you need to be aware of all this basic stuff, all this all the training scale, all the rhythm and relaxation, and the aids. We'll be talking about natural aids, diagonality, all over the back, and all those things that we have been talking about for a long time. We need to have those explained before we start talking about instructing and giving tips about solving problems and troubleshooting.
Yeah, it's important to note maybe that it isn't necessary for every rider to know all of these things and focus really hard on every little aspect of this. But it is very important for us as teachers to be able to explain all of these different facets of riding, so that we have both a structure to hang our training on, so it's possible to teach it, to help people understand it, and also to be able to access different riders' problems, or to help people on different ways. Some people just want to have fun and want to be able to canter and preferably slowly. Some people want to be able to control their horse at full speed at canter, and some people have specific demands of the horses, like in some sort of sport or recreational sport or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But for us, it is important to have this broad base, so we can be able to choose where to teach you in particular. So when we now get to correcting faults, we will be trying to show how this fits into the scale and how this fits in the structure we have tried to lay out over this long time we've been doing these streams already.
This is complex, and many times, for instance, when there are many faults and problems that people struggle with, that can be solved by just making the horse move over the back.
Yeah, just
or
give
making
with
the
hand.
Horse. Yeah,
tighten your abs.
Tighten your abs, or
simple things.
Make the horse bend his hind legs.
Yeah.
Things like that.
So we are trying to present to sort of a system that shows that if you do this, or if this is the problem, then this is a solution.
Yeah, and many of the things that we have been talking about are the solutions to many standard problems. Like if the horse is stumbling, as we had a question earlier in an earlier stream, the horse is stumbling all the time, get the horse over the back.
Mm-hmm.
If the horse is running, get the horse over the back. You know, if the horse is too slow, it's very like it doesn't react to the leg. Take away the stiffnesses that is in the shoulders, for instance, and get the horse over the back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's counterproductive to talk about all these things that people struggle with without talking about all these general stuff.
Yeah, the structure must be there
first.
Yep.
And then we can just say, oh, if you have that problem, go to stream number so and so and watch what we're saying about that method. These are tools that you can use.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any questions today? Very nice.
Good.
You happy for today?
Yeah.
Have we been able to show something?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I would like to ask people to give us ideas as to what you want, what you're struggling with, what you want help with, for the next series of streams that is going. They're going to be about troubleshooting, and no problem is too simple or people have
hopefully
said
too complex.
but you know. People have said to me that they're worried because they don't think that they can go to our clinics because it's too advanced, but because we're talking about collection and stuff like that all the time. And of course we're working with all kinds of problems, and many people who have like easy problems. Many people think that it's too easy, but it isn't. You know, if you have stiff hips, or if you have a stiff back and pain in your lower back, or you can't hold your hands still when you're riding and stuff like that, we have lots of ideas of tools how to fix those things.
Yeah.
And that is what we're doing most.
Yeah. My first question mostly is to new riders. Normally is what's your ambition? What is it you want? What do you want to do with your horse? I don't want to control what you want, but I have a whole lot of tools to help you reach whatever goal. That's the idea behind this all. And with that, I think we should call it a night. Don't you think?
Yep.
Thank you guys for watching. It's been a privilege to have you here. It's been a privilege to be allowed to show you Ares and his power. He's gonna keep working his back for that piece to get stronger as well, and then hopefully he'll get up and forward to the contact even more. We'll be back in a couple of weeks to start troubleshooting yours and our horses. Thank you guys for watching.